So just a quick intro. I'm the Group Technology Officer for Exterior Media. Joined 3 months and 3 days ago, so technically past my probation period this week. I'm responsible for platform strategy and delivering our strategy to become the digital media company powered by data in the next couple of months and years. And like Adrian said, I'm a bit of a stranger in a strange land. From the surname, you can see I'm Eastern Europeanish, but I speak with a South African accent tinged with a bit of Aussie. I have no formal qualifications in IT, even though I'm a CTO. I'm actually a marine biologist by trade. And I'm speaking to you at a digital out-of-home conference with no prior experience in the industry at all. So why the hell am I here? Why am I talking to you, right? So let me give you a bit of a background. So I've spent the last 18 years of my career, and yes, I started when I was 12, in predominantly designing, building, and operating high-transaction e-commerce systems across multiple industries. I've done it for retail, did a bit in transport, did a bit in financial industry, and now I'm in media. And I started about 16, 17 years ago in Woolworths, Australia. Started building their grocery platform. This was back in the day where you'd go to the internet and ordering groceries and having some of them delivered to you was just pure fantasy and fiction. Nobody just bought into it. It was complete insanity. So did that, we rolled it out. It was an interesting challenge. Jumped ship, jumped continents, came to the UK, did a strategy consulting role with Microsoft, developed the Tesco.com strategy for them. And they said, great, fantastic, it's great on paper, can you now make it come to life? So I joined Tesco.com, ended up building their e-commerce platform, which was then the biggest and only profitable grocery platform in the world, I think still is, and learned a very, very valuable lesson how not to take Amazon on at its own game by building a marketplace. And then I left and I joined Trainline.com. Had a blast, 3.5 years at a private equity company, re-engineered a very high transaction platform system that takes today £2.5 billion in ticket sales. That great time over 3.5 years also coincided with me having a challenge up here, which I blame in the result of me losing most of my hair, but it was great. And then had a premature midlife crisis, decided to do something different and jumped into financial industry banking, which was, wow, a challenge. Working in an industry that's completely challenged from every single angle you can think of, that has to reinvent itself in a very, very short span of time so it doesn't become irrelevant. So what's my view on out-of-home? Why am I here? Well, out-of-home, a resilient industry, doing really well, growing while other markets struggle all around us. Digital out-of-home accounts for about 35 to 38% of the revenue from last year, advertising last year. It's growing to 44% in the third quarter. Industry is fascinating because it's been pretty much shielded from the impact of digital over the last couple of years. And that's where I kind of come in, where Adrian asked me, what does it mean for our industry? What are you seeing from where you've worked before, and how does it actually flow into out-of-home? If you think back 15, 16 years ago, internet really started to take off. It was a tiny little ripple in the grand scheme of things. Started growing, getting bigger and bigger. And the ripple turned into a wave. It started impacting the broader landscape, really hit retail in the big time. If you think back to the days of eBay and Amazon taking off, a lot of our traders or a lot of the retailers had to go and adapt their bricks and mortar approach to an omni-channel one. Had to go and adapt to the internet because eBay and Amazon was taking the lunch away, and they had to adapt very, very quickly. And if you look at today, and if I look at my Amazon purchases, I never go into a shop these days. Everything almost gets done online. And if you think about where this is going to end up in a couple of years' time, going to a bricks and mortar store will essentially be only for two reasons. You need to purchase real time that it can't get delivered to you today, or you want the experience. So if you're going to buy a Louis Vuitton handbag, you want to be pampered. Then you're going to go to a shop to do that. So it's going to be experiential. And that digital wave, as it continued to go from retail, it started expanding, started getting into media, decimated the media industry and entertainment industry. Think about Blockbuster, completely bust in a very short space of time. Think about bricks and mortar CD shops that don't exist today. Think about the rise of Napster, Netflix, Spotify. They absolutely rule the industry today. Right? They've changed the way we do things. And I had to explain to my daughter a couple of weeks ago what a Walkman was and what a CD was. And she just looked at me and said, but why would you do that? I said, we had no choice. That was the time. So it's amazing how things change in a very short space of time. Now, this digital wave, which has been growing and getting quicker and bigger, it's changing the way we do business, right? If you think about Uber, think about Facebook, think about social media, these are all the products of a digital shift that's happened in the last 20 years. It's a short amount of time to change the business landscape. Even the financial industry, which I've spent 3.5 years in, it's radically having to change the business model that's been in existence for 400 years, right? And they're not seeing each other, the banks themselves are not seeing each other as competition. HSBC is not seeing Barclays as competition. Their competition is coming from Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, right? These are tech companies. They build laptops. They build social media platforms, yet they're taking banks on at their own game. It's just absolutely insane. How is this even possible that it can change in such a short space of time, right? And for them, the challenge is you no longer need a branch anymore to do your banking. You're going to get to a point very soon where you don't need a physical branch. You're going to do all your banking online. And you've got banks like Monzo, you've got Atom, Tandem. They've got millions of customers already. Millions of customers and not a single branch. The thing that don't have is a legacy estate, which costs an absolute fortune to maintain. And that's what the traditional banks have. And that's why it's so hard for them to change and adapt to a changing marketplace. So why is this changing? What's bringing this all about, right? To me, there's 4 things. First of all, it's the fact that you've got the internet. It's so pervasive. Everyone is within reach. You can get to them very, very quickly without trying too hard, right? The smart people and the good ones can predict what's going to happen in the future as far as the industry is concerned. And then being able to adapt and change to the changes in the marketplace is absolutely crucial, because if you don't, you're actually going to get decimated. User experience is becoming a massive differentiator in a commodity market. You get loads of people doing the same things, but if you have a really crappy user experience, you stop using it. And you stop using it very quickly and switch to something else, because these things are becoming commodity products, right? And then there's the 4th one, which is the other wave. Remember I mentioned the digital wave? There's another wave. There's a much bigger, much faster, much more impactful wave than the digital wave, and it's powered by data. Data is the new gold rush, the new oil rush, call it whatever you want. It's the new currency of the future. You're thinking I'm bonkers by now, aren't you? You must be. So how can data even have value, right? How is it possible that ones and zeros can have value to anyone these days? Think about Facebook, right? Think about Instagram, think about Gmail. Why do they spend billions and billions of pounds and dollars to give you stuff for free? They give you all these platforms for what, right? Why does Tesco give you club loyalty points just to use their card? They want your data. That data has value to them. They can do something with the data. They can personalize their approach to you. Think about why Microsoft bought LinkedIn for $23 billion. What is it? It's not because they had a great balance sheet. They had the best set of data, corporate data that anyone can get their hands on. That data plugs into their CRM system, which can then predictably tell you whether somebody is going to pay you on time, not pay you, is a risk or isn't a risk to your business. They spent $23 billion on data, right? That's a huge amount of money. So, why? Why would you spend so much on data? Well, if I know your spending history, and I know your social media profile, and I can get access to your spending, your current account or your credit card data, I know quite a lot about you. And I can actually risk assess you. So a lot of the banks are actually using social media profiles to go and do consumer lending to people who don't qualify through the normal channels. So they can risk assess you based on your LinkedIn and Facebook status, and risk assess you whether they want to give you a loan. They'll give you a loan at a greater rate, but they're doing it all electronically, opening up huge markets, access to new markets which they don't currently have. And that's pretty scary. So next year it gets even scarier, because there's 2 sets of regulation that are coming in. One is called GDPR, which affects all of us, anyone that deals with data. And the other one is called Payment Services Directive 2, which essentially forces any payment service provider, Visa, MasterCard, banks, to make you, as a customer, control of your data. So if I bank with Barclays, for example, if I choose to take my current account data and make it available to Amazon or another bank, they can take that data and offer me proactively anything that I want, right, in terms of my mortgage, my current account, my travel, everything. So banks, which have had this data, which has had a huge amount of value, is now being made available to everyone. And fintechs are going, this is just awesome. There's 65,000 fintechs operating today. Next year, there will be about 160,000, all on the back of the data proliferation. Right? They're going, we want that data because we can build products and services on the back of somebody else's hard work to target you to be able to make a more effective sell. Great business model. It's brilliant. Right? So it's clear data has value. But too much of a good thing is also bad for you. Because if you get too much data, you go, what the hell is all this about? How do I pick the golden nuggets out of it? How do I make it really useful to you? So if you can take data and enrich it with multiple sources, multiple layers, what do you do with it? The crux is being able to do the analytics to pull out the really salient points. And that's what the likes of Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook are all doing. They're employing really smart data scientists. If you try and employ any, it's very hard to find them because they've all been slurped up, to go and pull out the salient points out of those data sets to be able to target you more effectively. That, for them, is the future of the industry. Tesla doesn't build cars because they want to build cars. Tesla builds cars because it's a great way of getting huge amounts of data back to go and plug into what they really do, which is about energy efficiency. Right? So, what does this all mean? You've had the first wave, right? Digital wave. In my mind, I see it as just sweeping over the industry, sweeps over everything. The guys that can stand up to it, the guys that know how to adapt, they survive. Those that don't, pretty much falter, fade away, die, become irrelevant. The other wave, the digital one, is catching up to it. Sorry, the data wave is catching up to it very quickly. And it's going to get to a point very soon where the two collide and create the perfect storm. And this has massive impact on the out-of-home industry. In my view, and it's my view again, because we've missed the digital wave for the most part, we didn't get to learn how to react with it. Now we're going to face both the digital and the data wave in the same gulf, which is a huge impact for us. So we've got to go and adapt and figure out what does it mean for us. How do we adapt and compete with everyone else that's working in the same landscape? Because now we're also going to compete with Amazon and Google and anyone else that's digital as well. It's a huge opportunity and threat to us. Right, so how do you deal with this? You kind of do it in three ways. First, ignore it. Never going to happen. The guy up here is talking nonsense. What does he know? Out of home is completely different. Two, you go, holy cow, it is happening, so buckle down and hope for the best. Or three, you know the wave's coming. Grab your board and start paddling and take the greatest ride that you can ever have. Because surfing a tsunami is probably going to be the greatest thrill you're ever going to get over the next couple of years. And by the way, I think 1 and 2 aren't feasible because retail, entertainment, banking, they all prove you can't just put your head down and ignore it because you're going to get absolutely decimated. So, what does it mean for us? What does it mean for Exterion? Right? As a company, we're on a really exciting journey. We understand this. We're embracing it. Right? We completely buy into the fact that to be in the game, you have to be digital to begin with. To compete and to score, you've got to have data. And to have even the remotest chance of winning and coming out on top, you've got to have the analytics capability to be able to understand and target your audiences. And this is not just about digital screens, right? Even though that's what we're here to talk about. There's more to it. Tech has become a core part of our business. And that's one of our reasons that I actually joined Exterion Media. I want to be able to build a platform that's based on tech and data to take us into the new future. That's what it's all about for us. And we're doing a couple of things. We're absolutely changing the way we operate culturally on a day-to-day basis. It's not just about tech. People make the difference. Technology is just the foundation. Right? We're digitizing our complete business model. Not just about screens. Screens are a great mechanism to serve content. This is actually taking our end-to-end processes, automating them as much as possible, and then taking the friction out of the equation, taking out all the manual steps and interaction that we currently have, which leads to massive delays and huge customer frustration. We're moving to an audience-based sell, right? So how do we understand our audiences, and how do we sell audience packs and target audience as opposed to just selling screens and frames? Using data in everything we do to both understand our audience, to sell to our customers, and do the auditability and accounting afterwards. And we're creating partnerships and platforms to drive efficiency and accountability on the back end. And most importantly, we're all learning to surf as well, because we know it's coming. People who get it, they're on board. People who don't get it just don't get it and look for new opportunities. So how are we doing that? How are we getting into the digital piece? So let me give you a couple of numbers. So we reach 47 million adults across the UK every week. It represents about 92% of the UK population, and we achieve a total of about 3.5 billion impacts. That's huge. It's almost like banking figures, right? It's fantastic. We reach more people than Google reaches. We reach more people in a week than Google reaches in a month, and we reach more people a week than ITV reaches in a week. Those are huge figures. Those are massive, massive impressions. And we're really strong in London. If you look at what we're doing with the TfL, we reach nearly 100% of the London population every single week. So let's see if this one works. In London, we partnered with TfL in a partnership called Hello London. I was going to talk through it, but Rebecca suggested we do a video which would explain it a hell of a lot better and make it more entertaining than me. So let's see if it works. So we launched this in last October with the aim of exciting and engaging London audiences, hopefully doing this in a very innovative way to make the best impact possible, and obviously to make sure we generate revenue for London Underground. The partnership gives advertisers the opportunity to communicate with an audience of over 1.5 billion across TfL, Underground, DLR, Victoria, Coach Line Station, and in 2018, the Elizabeth Line as well. We transform the physical estate, providing advertisers with high-impact creative canvases, right, improved customer experience, and rolling out large-scale digital premium screens called Hello London Icons. And I want to show you what the CapEx program looks like. Rather than talk through it, I'll try and run another video for you. So that's a view from the outside in, right? But the real journey starts internally. We are investing a huge amount in our people, our culture, and bringing the right talent aboard to drive all of this. Right? It absolutely is the foundation of what we're going to do over the next couple of months and years. We're changing the way we work. We've embraced Agile end to end. And this is not just about choosing your desk or working remotely. We've also embraced Agile development principles. We've stopped doing the old approach of scoping something 3 years ahead, hoping for the best, taking it away, delivering it to our customers, and they go, this is not what I want, my requirements have changed. So everything we do is based on Scrum, it's based on Agile, and it's paying huge dividends in our deliverables, right? We believe in using data to become more efficient is absolutely key. We need to understand and benchmark the things that are coming through, reapply it, gather as many insights from external and internal data feeds to make sure we optimize our business model, right? Both in running campaigns and auditing those campaigns when they're finished running. And we're partnering with organizations to help us on our journey to do some of this stuff, especially in our back-end processes, right? So we're working with the likes of Tint, Senate, Triggerbus to deliver more intelligent, dynamic, and data-driven creative through our digital estate. We did Elizabeth Arden, Outsmart City campaign that delivered live pollution data and adapted creatives accordingly. We did the Clean Alice Eating campaign across London Underground. We worked with Tint to deliver real-time tweets, social media content to our digital screens. And we partnered with Cancer Research UK recently to pull social media content into our digital screens. So we believe that investing in digitization of our systems, we can be at the forefront. We can lead and impact where we're going to take the industry in the next couple of years, right? In addition to all of this is an investment, obviously, in our data management platform. We need to be able to ingest as much data as possible. So whether it be publicly available Wi-Fi data, whether it be our own internal data, social media data, we want to be able to gather as much as possible in it. And we don't have the current, or we've never had those opportunities to do so because the data hasn't been available and we haven't had the platforms to be able to ingest it. And that's kind of where I come in. That's where my roles come in. We're actually developing a strategy for our technical architecture that allows us to do that. And we split that into 3 key areas. What we call the back-end system is what we call a system of source. A system of record or a system of source, where we look to automate as many of our back-end processes as possible. So something that used to take 3 or 4 days to do, we're looking to do that now as a touch of a button. So for example, being able to build a pack, which used to take days and hours, we can do in less than 2 seconds through simple algorithms. And sitting on top of that is what we call a system of intelligence. That's where we get as many external and internal data feeds as possible, building a data management platform, just like a Google or a Facebook, where we can actually store that data and apply hardcore analytics to give us those key insights to be able to target audiences and actually make sure where's the best place to serve an advert or a campaign based on who's going to be there at what sort of time. And on top of that, obviously building algorithms around dynamic pricing, yield management, and everything that sits on top of that data stack to be able to make it as effective as possible. And then obviously a system of engagement. How do we take all of that cool, funky stuff we're going to build and make it available to everyone? So building an ecosystem of microservices, APIs, it's about as technical as I'm going to get, and put it available into self-service portals to make sure customers can self-serve and don't need to actually pick up a phone to talk to anyone, right? So that's the strategy. I want to try and stop there, give time for a couple of questions. So just to wrap up quickly, what can you expect to see over the next couple of months and years? You're going to see more and better digital assets rolled across our estate. Clean, cool, big screens that have a great user experience and interaction. There's a massive focus on data. Expect to see data in everything we do, whether that be for accounting or the way we target the audiences or the way we actually interact with our customers, right? Introduction of more platforms, data management platforms, portals, self-service capability. Much like the airline industry, you don't need to be taught how to use a system to go and book an airline ticket. We don't expect you to have to be taught how to use our system to buy a campaign or an audience or a series of impacts, right? And for me, to end it off, this is the 4th time I'm looking to ride the wave. This is the 4th time I'm paddling out. It's brilliant that I've had the opportunity to do this across 4 markets, 4 completely different industries. And it's a brilliant ride. Right? You go in for it, you learn so much. So I'm really excited to be at Xeria and have the opportunity to do this. And I encourage you to do the same. Embrace the digital and data wave and just go hell for leather. Thank you very much.